Oppositional defiant personality disorder or oppositional personality disorder is a childhood disorder diagnosed in children and characterized by defiant or disobedient behavior toward authority figures and adults, such as temper tantrums. Because it is untreatable, it is chronic and can be lifelong and therefore extend into adulthood. But I find there is less information about the disorder in adults. However, there is enough information to know that adults with ODD or OPD are prone to losing their tempers. They are angry and resentful and spiteful and vindictive. They don't like rules and laws and may break rules and laws, and they tend to get into arguments with people in their lives, including their coworkers. And because of that last characteristic, I argue that workplace bullies can have oppositional personality disorder. It's just that it manifests a little bit differently. Specifically, workplace bullies are in opposition to the target. Workplace bullies with oppositional personality disorder can be called antagonistic, argumentative, combative, confrontational, contrarian, defiant, truculent, or just a bigot. Some people say these personalities have an oppositional confrontational style or oppositional conversational style. Whatever the label, when workplace bullies are oppositional, the disorder manifests not so much in temper tantrums, but instead in willfully disagreeing with absolutely everything the target says, no matter how petty the subject matter or how wrong the bully is. Every sentence that comes out of the bully's mouth starts with no, but, or actually. An example is when the target says the weather is nice today and the bully responds by saying, no, it's not, it's bad. Workplace bullies may be oppositional when offered food or drink, for example, coffee or pizza. Instead of politely declining with a no thank you, the workplace bully may respond by saying, I don't drink coffee or I don't eat pizza. Workplace bullies with oppositional personality disorder may go so far as to rudely interrupt a conversation that does not involve them in order to disagree with what the target is saying. And sometimes when workplace bullies are oppositional, they literally shake their heads. Finally, workplace bullies can be in opposition to the target's work by shooting down almost all of the target's ideas about the work. For example, if the target prefers a certain color for a graphic design, the workplace bully will insist on another color. In order to understand what oppositional personality disorder in workplace bullies is, it's important to understand what it isn't. Workplace bullies are not coming from an academic background of Western liberal arts education, which fosters critical thinking. Workplace bullies are not critical thinkers, iconoclasts, rebels, healthy skeptics, or righteous social justice warriors who go against the grain by thinking outside of the box and playing the devil's advocate. Contrarianism is an actual philosophy based on the idea that the culture is dysfunctional and in need of change because the system does not serve everyone equally. Historically, many have benefited from the works of famous contrarians like Gandhi, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and basically everyone who has fought a revolution. When workplace bullies are oppositional, they are not correcting factual inaccuracy, which is important, and they are not inspiring creative and critical thinking or inviting engaging conversation or discussion. Instead, they are arguing just for the sake of arguing, and they contribute absolutely nothing useful, helpful, or valuable to the situation. Instead, they shut down the target and indeed the entire room, and it is a form of emotional abuse. As always, reasons for workplace bullying behavior range from fairly innocuous to outright sinister. When workplace bullies exhibit oppositional personality disorder, it may stem simply from immaturity. This is, after all, a disorder that is diagnosed primarily in children. The workplace bullies lack basic social skills, and this is their awkward and cringeworthy way of making conversation. When workplace bullies are oppositional, it could also relate to their childhoods in that when they were children, that was the only way that they could get attention from their parents. And oppositional personality disorder is an attention-demanding, not an attention-seeking behavior, because it completely redirects and reroutes all the attention in the room back on the bully and puts the spotlight back on the bully. And again, when they were children, being disagreeable may have been the only way that the bullies could get attention from otherwise neglectful parents. Oppositional personality disorder, like all attention-demanding behaviors that workplace bullies exhibit, definitely stems from a place of catastrophic inner insecurity. Workplace bullies have no confidence and no self-esteem, self-worth, or self-love. And it shows. They are fundamentally insecure and feel an inferiority complex vis-a-vis the target, which may be specifically related to intellect, knowledge, and level of education. The workplace bully may have over-attached self-importance to intellect and level of education and may conflate intellect and education with self-worth. This is the workplace bully's ham-fisted, maladaptive, toxic, and dysfunctional way of defending the narcissistic ego. Above all, oppositional personality disorder in workplace bullies is about power. Just as workplace bullies are fundamentally insecure and inferior, they are also fundamentally powerless people because they don't know what real power is. Incidentally, another word for powerless comes from the Latin for powerless, which is impotent. Though some people may disagree with me, I argue that workplace bullying is a form of narcissistic abuse because the similarities are uncanny. In order to understand workplace bullying, it is imperative to understand narcissism. A narcissist is partly defined as a dead and empty soul with no real or internal life or self, whose connection to God, Goddess, universe, spirit, source, one source consciousness, higher self, or whatever you want to call it, has been completely severed. So the narcissist has to run around all day demanding what he desires exclusively from other people because he can no longer work together with the universe to create it for himself. I also believe that the vampire legend was based on narcissism. Narcissists are psychic and energy vampires. When a workplace bully is being oppositional, you can feel this taking energy. The workplace bully is trying to take power in the form of energy from the target and leech off of you like a parasitic vampire. Disagreeing with people is a form of arguing, and arguing is a form of conflict. Workplace bullies thrive on conflict and strife. In fact, they appear addicted to it, just as codependents are addicted to drama and excitement. Some people may enjoy a little bit of tension in interpersonal relationships just to spice things up a bit, but workplace bullies create conflict that is toxic. They like to stir the pot and spread chaos throughout the workplace in order to reflect externally their own internal realities. It is a form of projection. Though workplace bullies may present themselves with a lot of bravado and braggadocio inside, It's absolutely nothing but chaos, rage, jealousy, and everything negative. Long story short, these are not peaceful people. In fact, just as they are addicted to chaos, they are allergic to peace. These are people who will not know one moment of peace or even calm until they are well into their 70s, or ever at all in their lives. Though the effect of the opposition is to shut down the target, part of the intent may be actually to engage the target in an argument. In other words, to drag the target down into the bully's own base, low, 3D level of unnecessary competition. A final reason workplace bullies express oppositional personality disorder toward the target may be nothing more than pure hatred. These days, it's common to hear people say things like, it's not personal, don't take things personally, I never take anything personally, but some things really are personal. The workplace bully is not this way with everyone, only with the target. The opposition may be a passive-aggressive way to express complete and utter hatred for the target. It is the verbal equivalent of running over the target with a car. Why do workplace bullies hate targets so much? Well, oppositional personality disorder originated as a disorder diagnosed in children who have problems with authority figures. Though the target may not in any way be in any kind of superior position to the bully in terms of rank inside the company, when the bully looks at the target, he sees only his father or his mother. Anyone who's ever dealt with a narcissist has complained that they feel as though they're dealing with a 3-year-old child, and that's because narcissists operate exclusively out of their childhood brain. Just as narcissistic workplace bullies have not relearned healthier ways of getting attention than they did when they were children. In 30, 40, 50, and even 60 years, narcissistic workplace bullies have not healed their childhood trauma. And once again, as with all workplace bullying behavior, they expose their own toxic, maladaptive, and dysfunctional families of origin and childhood abuse. Forgive my pronunciation, but the French word désagréable translates not as disagreeable, but as nasty. It is a word used with children, just as in English, children are told to be good and not be mean. French children are told to be wise, sage, and not be nasty, désagréable. Oppositional personality disorder creates a nasty workplace environment. Are workplace bullies aware of just how ugly they come across when they so consistently shut down not only the target, but also entire conversations and rooms? Unlike almost all workplace bullying techniques, oppositional personality disorder is one technique that workplace bullies employ readily in the presence of just about anyone, even the higher-ups whose opinions matter to the bullies, which leads me to believe that workplace bullies are not aware. Narcissists are completely lacking in any kind of spiritual awareness or knowledge, otherwise known as wisdom, and are unconscious. So they are lacking in any kind of self-awareness. Narcissism is defined by many things, but one of those things is a complete and total lack of empathy. And that lends itself to many manifestations, one of which may be oppositional personality disorder. It is a lack of empathy. In other words, forgive them, Lord. They know not what they do. If workplace bullies are aware that their opposition makes the target feel uncomfortable and they enjoy making the target squirm and take pleasure in another person's pain, then their narcissism has progressed into straight up, full-blown cluster B antisocial personality disorder, sociopathy, and psychopathy. So that's an introduction to the workplace bullying technique of opposition. To read more in detail, I've written an essay on workplace bullying. It's on my website, and I include that information in the description. The reason I do these videos is to create a forum for targets of workplace bullying to share their stories and experiences in a kind of support group. So you can know, number one, you're not crazy. Workplace bullying is real, and your feelings are completely valid and justified. And number two, you're not alone. Unfortunately, countless others have experienced the same thing. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I promise to try to respond to each one. Take care.